Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Neeru Tandon, Department of English, VSST College, Kanpur. We are discussing paper on linguistics and this module number 26, Semantics and its relationship with pragmatics, has been written by Mahmood Hassan, an independent research scholar of University of Hyderabad. Now, whenever we talk about various things related with linguistics, we are directly concerned with semantics and of course pragmatics. We will discuss in this module what are the definite and different areas of linguistics, how semantics is concerned with pragmatics and various other related factors. The module deals with two important aspects, as I told you, semantics and pragmatics. It covers various aspects and varieties of semantics and pragmatics. Language meaning can be analyzed at several levels. It has a direct connection with semantics and pragmatics. The study has also presented the study of meaning in various contexts. The module has tried to come up with the relationship between semantics and pragmatics and some basic differences between the two. Now let us define what the semantics is. Semantics is one of the important branches of linguistics that deals with interpretation and meaning of the word. Understand, interpretation as well as meanings of the word, whatever words we are using in that particular language. So what are various meanings that can be inferred and what are the various interpretations that we can just calculate out of those words. That is the study of the semantics. Sentence structure and symbols, while determining the reading comprehension of the readers, how they understand others and their interpretations, are also studied. In addition, semantics construct a relation between adjoining words and clarifies the sense of a sentence, whether the meaning of words are literal or figurative. William Frawley defines linguistic semantics as the study of literal decontextualized grammatical meaning is semantics. Semantics is concerned with the conceptual meaning related to words. Semantics does not focus on the context, rather it deals with the meaning according to grammar and vocabulary. The focus is only on the general rules used for that particular language. Now in this diagram you can see that inside you have phonetics or the speech of sounds, then comes phonology, then comes morphology, then syntax, and finally semantics, and in the outer circle there is pragmatics. So these are all the branches of linguistics and this is according to the serial of their importance and how they come in the field of linguistics. Let us discuss the various types of semantics. First is connotative semantic. When a word suggests a set of association or it is an imaginative or emotional suggestion connected with the words, while readers can relate to such associations, simply it represents figurative meaning. Usually poets use the type of meaning in their poetry known as connotative semantic. Then we have denotative semantic. It suggests the literal, explicit or dictionary meanings of the word without using associated meanings. It also uses symbols in writing that suggest expressions of writers such as an exclamation mark, quotation mark, apostrophe, colon and quotation mark, etc. What is the study of meaning? A word is the smallest unit of a spoken language which has meaning and can stand alone. It is a written representation of one or more sounds which can be spoken to represent an idea, object, action, etc. in order to be understood by the people. A word must have a meaning. Most words have more than one meaning. It is the characteristic of words that a single word may have several meanings. In fact, words may play an enormous part in our life. Words are used to express something and also conveys feelings about we are describing. Words are used not in isolation but related to human situation. It is through our experience with them in a situation that they take on meaning. If we talk about words, we cannot avoid talking about the study of the meaning that is known as semantic. There are 7 types of meanings. Number 1 is conceptual meaning. Conceptual meaning is sometimes called denotative meaning or cognitive meaning. It is widely assumed to be the central factor in linguistic communication. Larson noted that denotative meaning is also called as primary meaning, that is the meaning suggested by the word when it used alone. It is the first meaning or usage which a word will suggest to most people when the word is said in isolation. It is the meaning learned early in life and likely to have reference to a physical situation. It was said by Larson in 1984. Connotative meaning is the communicative value with an expression of what it refers to. To a large extent, the notion of reference overlaps with conceptual meaning. The contrastive features become attributes of the referent, including not only physical characteristics but also psychological and social purposes and properties, typical rather than invariable. Connotations are apt to vary from age to age, from society to society. Now we also have a stylistic meaning. A stylistic meaning is that which a piece of language conveys about the circumstances of its use. A recent account of English has recognized some more dimensions of stylistic variations. For example, they chucked a stone at the cops and then did a bunk with the loot. After casting a stone at the police, they absconded with the money. Sentence 1 could be said by the two criminals talking casually about the crime. Afterwards, sentence 2 might be said by the chief of the police in making the official report. Both could describe the same happening. It was just said by Leach in 1974, describing the methods and modes of stylistic meaning. Then we have affective meaning. Affective meaning is a sort of meaning which affects the personal feeling of the speaker, including his or her attitude to the listener, of his or her attitude to something he or she talking about. For example, I'm terribly sorry to interrupt, but I wonder if you would be so kind as to lower your voice as a little, or will you belt up? Factors such as intonation and voice are also important here. The impression of politeness in the sentence first can be reserved by tone of just sarcasm. Sentence 2 can be turned into a playful remark between intimates if delivered with the intonation of a mild request. There is reflected meaning as well. Reflected meaning involves an interconnection on the lexical level of language. It is the meaning which arises in case of multiple conceptual meaning, when one sense of word forms part of our response to another sense. For instance, on hearing the church service, the synonymous expression the Comforter and the Holy Ghost both refer to the third Trinity, but the Comforter sounds warm and comforting while the Holy Ghost sounds awesome. We have collocative meaning. Collocative meaning consists of the associations a word acquires on account of the meanings of the words, which tends to occur in its environment. For instance, the words Pretty and handsome share common ground in the meaning of good looking, but may be distinguished by the range of noun in which they are like to occur or collocate. Pretty woman and handsome man. The ranges may well match, although they suggest a different kind of attractiveness of the adjectives. Thematic meaning is the final category of meaning. Thematic meaning is the meaning that is communicated by the way in which the speaker or writer organizes the message in terms of ordering, focus, and emphasis. It is often felt an active sentence such as below has a different meaning from its passive equivalent, or although in conceptual content they seem to be the same, as said by Leach in 1974. It expresses the thematic meaning and it conveys how thematic meaning is the part of semantics. Lexical relation in semantics is important to study. The section would analyze the semantics in terms of lexical relations. It explains the meaning in terms of the relationship with other words and phrases. To name: synonymy, antonymy, hyponymy, prototype, homophones and homonyms, and polysemy. Let us discuss them one by one. First is synonymy. Here words that have the same meanings or that are closely related in meanings. Sameness is not total sameness. Only one word would be appropriate in a sentence. For example, Sandy only had one answer correct on the test, but not reply. Example: answer versus reply, almost versus nearly, broad versus wide, buy versus purchase, or freedom versus liberty. Antonymy: words that are opposites in meaning. Like for example, if it is used the word happy, that can be taken as sad, married, single, present, absent, fast, slow, so on and so forth. Then we have hyponymy. We all know about antonym and synonym, but these are certain other things to be considered. Hyponymy. Hyponymy are words whose meanings are specific instances of a more general word. For example, one thing is included in another thing. That is, cats and dogs are the hyponyms of the word animal. Daffodil and flower. Carrot is the hyponym of vegetable. Ant is the hyponym of insect. Then we have homonymy, a word which has two or more entirely distinct unrelated meanings put under the category of homonymy. For example, bank, financial institution, or of a river. That is, bank, it may be either the financial institution or a river bank also. So when bank can be used in entirely two different meanings, it will be termed as homonym. So like bat. Bat can be a flying creature or it may be used to play the cricket bat. In the same way, when we say race, it can be contest of speed or it can be termed as ethnic group. So it is not sure that which word we are using in which context and what is the semantic explanation of that unless and until we have the context of that particular word. Then we have homophony. Different words pronounce the same but is spelled differently. For example, two, TWO2, TO2 and TOO2. So floor and flower, meat and meat, right and right, RIGST right, WRIT right, MEAT meat, MEET meat. So they are called homophony. Then we have polysemy, a word which has multiple meanings related by extension. For example, bright, shining, intelligent, head of the body and the person at the top of a company, foot of a body and of a mountain and of the bed or chair, run, a person runs, the water runs. So this way a word can be used in different contexts in creating different meanings. Then we have metonymy. Metonymy is a figure of speech in which an attribute or commonly associated feature is used to name or designate something. A short definition is part for whole. What do you think about these sentences? A word substituted for another word with which it is closely associated. He drank the whole bottle. That is container or the content. The White House announced king or crown. I gave her a hand, whole, part. Collocation. Collocation happens when words tend to occur with other words like table and chair, bread and butter, salt and pepper, hammer and nail. They usually come together as a phrase to express something else. That is collocation. Now, how semantics is related with pragmatics, how it is concerned with pragmatics, how it requires pragmatics, that is to be discussed. Pragmatics is the study of how language is used and of the effect of context on language. Pragmatics makes uses of three major communication skills like using language, changing language, and following rules. Using language in context to different purposes, like for greeting, one uses words like hello. Changing language is all about the change in language which is based on the needs of the listener or situation. For example, the way one tells an instruction to a child than to an elderly person. Following rules is about the rules of conversation or in storytelling, like one rephrases if the listener is not able to grasp the orator. Pragmatics refers to the strategies, that is exploitation of shared knowledge, assumptions about communicative intent, etc., by which language users relate the dictionary or the grammar meaning of utterances to their communicative value in context. Pragmatics generally refers to the encoding of particular communicative functions, especially those relevant to interpersonal exchanges in specific grammatical and lexical elements of a given language. These are the various levels of language that we have discussed already: semantics and pragmatics. The other three are phonetics, phonology, morphology, and syntax. Now, several types of context are there. First is physical context. Objects surrounding the communication, place and time of the communication, what is going on around, etc. For example, I want that book, accompanied by pointing. Be here at 9 tonight. Place and time references there. So it is the context. Linguistic context. What has been said before in the conversation, like Linda came home late yesterday, she thought nobody would notice. The second sentence comes, if my mom heard you talk like that. So just understanding in a linguistic context. Then we have social context, the social relationship of the people involved in communication. To the President, Mr. President, stop bugging me and go home. We must also discuss various elements of pragmatics. Pragmatics include a wide range of topics and elements that helps verifying the working process of all its elements, which they are listed. Entailment. While defining pragmatics, it has been observed that interpreting utterances involves a considerable amount of an elegant guesswork where the hearer draws inference from the speaker's words to arrive at the speaker's meaning. In this section, we will look at entailment, a relationship between two sentences where the truth of one requires the truth of the other. For example, the sentence A says, the president was assassinated, entails B, the president is dead. Notice also that B is false, then A must necessarily be false. There is a relationship with A and B. To show entailment, we must show that A true forces B to be true and B false forces A to be false. We will look at another kind of inference below, that is known as presuppositions. We look at presupposition, another kind of inference which is very closely linked to the working of the utterance. A presupposition is a background belief relating to an utterance which must be mutually known or assumed by the speaker and hearer for the utterance to be considered appropriate. In context will generally remain a necessary assumption whether the utterance is placed in the form of an assertion, a denial, or question, and can be associated with a specific lexical item or grammatical feature in the utterance. That may be termed as presupposition trigger. Then we have implicature. Another subject related to pragmatics is implicature, which is anything that is conducted from an utterance but that is not a condition for the truth of the utterance. It is a technical term in the linguistic branch of pragmatics coined by Paul Grace. It describes the relationship between two statements where the truth of one suggests the truth of the other. For example, the sentence, Mary had a baby and got married, strongly suggests that Mary had the baby before the wedding, but the sentence would still be strictly true if Mary had her baby after she got married. Semantics and pragmatics, they are interrelated. How they are interrelated? Because they are the branches of linguistics, that is one thing. Then both of them deal with the study of meaning, another thing. Then semantics deal with the study of meaning of word without the context. On the other hand, pragmatics understand the language meaning but keeping the context in mind. That is the major difference between semantics and pragmatics. Semantics covers what expressions mean, while pragmatics covers what speakers mean in using the expressions. Pragmatics involves how speakers use language in contextualized social interactions, how they do things with words. Semantics invites a focus on meaning and truth conditions without regard to communication and context. Semantics is all about question of meaning, whereas pragmatics is all about question of use. It deals with that aspect of meaning which is dependent on the context. Semantics deals with the study of what signs denote. On the other hand, pragmatics deals with the relation of signs to their users and interpreters. Semantics is limited to the relation of words to which they refer, whereas pragmatics covers the study of relationships between words, the interlocutors, and also the context. This module has tried to analyze the basic concepts of semantics and pragmatics. It has presented various types of semantics on the basis of the occurrence of the meaning. The module has also tried to bring out various types of meanings in various contexts and the formation of meaning in the sentence. To sum up, we can say that when we study the pragmatics and semantics both as a part of linguistics, then only we can understand the language in its complete form. If we have studied the semantics, we know the words, we know how to use the words, but we don't know in what context which word should be used. Then the meaning cannot be conveyed properly, then the utterances cannot be explained clearly, and the purpose of using the language for communication can get defeated. So it is essential to understand semantic and pragmatic both and understand the relationship between semantic and pragmatic as well. When you understand this thing, then the language you are using, you will be able to control that language, you will be able to use that language for the purpose that you are just trying to put into practice. Before I conclude, I will like to show you one very important video related with semantics and pragmatics. After watching this video, you will come to know something more about this particular subject in practicality, and you will be able to catch hold of this thing. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for visiting EPG Pathshala.